Oh, well, if these gentlemen are going to press the issue, I suppose that we can continue to press it too. Talking about K through 12 education in Chicago, in Illinois. I gotta tell you, I'm a little tired of having the stuffing beaten out of me. I'm also a little tired of watching opportunities, particularly ones that I was a part of seizing, be frittered away by people who otherwise should know better and who count themselves among the school choice and ed reform movement. Of course, I'm talking about the disappearance of the tax credit scholarship program in Illinois. But if Charles Love and Pastor Corey Brooks are willing to press the issue, I suppose we'll press on. Charles Love is the executive director of Seeking Educational Excellence. He's the author of Race Crazy, BLM 1619, and the Progressive Racism Movement. Race Crazy is Charles Love's book. He is a Chicagoan originally. Now he is in New York City. New York City.
I love when you do that.
And he is coming back to town for an Education Roundtable next week, April 16th, at Project Hood, which, of course, is Pastor Corey Brooks's organization.
And it's from 6 to 8 p.m.
All right. And he joins us now. Charles, good to talk to you again. Thanks for being with us.
It's been so long. You don't call, you don't write. And we make great salsa here. Great salsa.
Yeah, I'm sure. I know we grew apart, but it's the test of our love, fondness, and so forth. So, all right.
Go.
Why do it this way? Why are you still? You're in New York. That's not a big enough platform in which to do battle. Why do you still care about Chicago?
Oh, my God. Tell me about it. The madness I deal with here. Google it. You'll see how many times I've been called a racist. Well, the reason I'm doing this is it's not just Chicago, but Chicago is unfortunately ground zero. And if you want to be the best at some people say, if you're going to do something, do it as best as you can. Well, Chicago's doing a great job of failing kids. So I thought, since I used to live there and I kind of know the landscape, I should start there. But ideally, the goal is to go to all over the country, to inner cities all over the country, and have this conversation because I think it's lacking. I think that now many people, because like you said, have been beaten down so much, they don't know what they're going to get, and they're not too optimistic, and neither do I. But I do think someone needs to try to get in front of parents and throw some cold water on them and say, it's really bad. We've been telling you it's bad, but it's way worse than you think. And now what are we going to do about it? So that's why I'm coming back there, and I hope to go to other cities as well.
Why do you think there wasn't a parental revolt? I mean, you had 10,000 kids on scholarship. You had another tax credit scholarship. You had another 30,000 that were on the wait list trying to get access to scholarship funds to send their kids to better schools. So there's definitely parental interest. But as this thing was being taken away by Governor Jellybelly and his henchmen, there was no real discernible reaction from the beneficiaries. Why do you think that is?
Well, I'm thinking, now I was looking at and reviewing from a distance, but I think there was in a sense, because I do recall the first time after he first won, trying to take it away, and they did make us think about it, go down to Springfield, kind of saved it temporarily. And then there's another thing, there's so many things to be concerned about, too. You got crime. I talked to a friend of mine in Chicago maybe just short of a year ago, and they went down to City Hall to protest, right? And so they're protesting, I think, the migrant issue, something. And then they look across the street and they're like, wait, there's a group of people protesting over there. And there was another protest going on at the same time, and that one was about the tax credit. So I just think that people, we know a lot of people are unplugged, but those who are paying attention, it's a fire hose. There's so many things to complain about. You kind of get beat down, and the politicians and the legislation constantly against you, so you just sometimes feel like you can't win. So I know that there's concern, but I don't know why there wasn't enough of a pushback.
But why do you think they did it? Why would they take away the tax scholarship program?
I get dragged. I try not to be so political, but to be honest, there's no other reason why you would try not do something where it's helping a small percentage. What is it? 300,000 students in the Chicago public schools. You're helping 10,000, and you got a few other people wanting to do it. Why not let it happen? The only reason you do it is because it benefits someone who either adds money to your coffers or is politically aligned with you. There's no other reason to do it. You're not doing it for the children. So, I mean, I can't speak for them, but my assumption is someone with some type level of power did not want that to happen.
Yeah, the teachers' unions. It's like, this is not
Whoever
complicated.
someone is, I don't know about that, Dad. Someone.
Yeah, right. Sure. Yeah, it's real confusing. They're only they only make this the centerpiece of the campaign, and at the top of the list of their priorities. Stacey Davis Gates is really nuanced about this. Hardly. So, do you think the migrant issue and the resources devoted that have roiled some majority minority neighborhoods in Chicago, and you've seen some of the pushback at community meetings and like, does this have the is that an opportunity to leverage for more interest in educational choice and more of a recognition about what you were talking about, how poor things are going in these neighborhood schools?
100%, but that speaks again to why I'm coming. I think I might be naive. I'll find out as I talk to people, but I think there's a sizable, because we talk about this and we see it all the time. So we don't realize there's a sizable percentage of people who just simply either don't know anything or don't know how bad it is. So if you know your school is struggling, you see some other kids are struggling, but you don't realize that your school is the test scores are like 0 or 5. You don't know it's that bad, and you don't connect the dots. So you don't necessarily agree with the migrant issue, but as it's playing out. But you don't see how, if your school is already failing and they put 50 kids in there who are struggling to speak English, how that shifts the curriculum and the focus for your entire school. Someone needs to point that out to you in a very clear and direct way. And once that happens, I think, and I would hope, more people would be open to other options.
The problem, though, I see is like, who's going to go to this conference you're having at Project Hood? I mean, there's sort of a self-selection problem you have, right? Because the people that are going to go to this event that you're a part of are people that are engaged, that want to learn more, that probably do know some things. But the people that need to be hit with rhetorical 2x4s are going to be blithely milling about elsewhere. I mean, the problem is always getting to the mildly engaged, the surface skimmers, and getting them to fold in with people that are actually providing the intellectual leadership, right?
Yeah, that's 100% true, which is why I'm doing it. I mean, you can't make it perfect, but that's a great point. That's why I am very, particular in how I'm going about this, in the sense that, one, it's free, right? I'm offering food. There's daycare. I try to remove every barrier for someone to say, well, I can't because I have X, Y, Z. That's the first thing. And then I reached out to you and people and other people that I know are active because they know people. But what's different about this, I did this. The other reason I did it is because I speak at events. It's these think tanks, and it's all, like you say, it's always the same people. So I go to the parents and say, okay, you have a parent in public schools. Yes, I need you to talk to other parents. I need you to bring at least one of your friends who has, that has kids in school, and bring them. So as much as you like to be speaking to arenas, because this should be the civil rights issue of our times, I'm happy to speak to only 50 people if I can get 30 of them to be actual public school parents. And looking at the registration, I've had a decent percentage of them be, none of them they're not showing up as people that I know or that are connected to these people. So we will see. But it looks like mostly people from the community now. How much of them are already active, I won't know.
Here's something else I would impose on you, if I could be so bold, and Corey, for that matter, and others. I think that you have to be willing to tell rich honkies in the school choice movement that they need to stop being dilettantes and listen up. We're not here to beg you for your money. We're here to say, this is, if you want to be successful, if you want to be part of something successful, you have to shed some of these fashionable beliefs you have about urban centers, about Democrats, about school choice. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about, that maybe I'm unique. I'm certainly part of a small group, I suspect. who read this op-ed in the Wall Street Journal by Jeff Yass. He's the billionaire financier who started the Students First PAC in Pennsylvania, where he's from. He's been talked about a little bit in relation to Trump's candidacy, because he has a stake in TikTok, and so all the questions about banning TikTok or not banning it, and what Jeff Yass would stand to gain, and so forth. That's sort of secondary. He's never given to Trump. He's never given any money directly to Trump, but he has given money to Republican organizations like. He's given a lot of money to Republican organizations, that support federal candidates and so forth. Anyway. Here's what he writes about school choice and sort of how he conceived it. In 2007, we met with presidential candidate Barack Obama to discuss the issue. We left encouraged. He understood the costs urban public school systems impose on families nationwide, was supportive of broad-based school choice as a solution. Sure he was. Our optimism wasn't misguided, he goes on. When Obama took office, he appointed reform-minded Arne Duncan as Education Secretary and approved such initiatives as the $4 billion Race to the Top program, in which schools could compete for grants. I started the Student First PAC and so on and so forth. Over the years, I've donated more than $15 million in Pennsylvania alone to more than 50 Democratic candidates for governor, attorney general, treasurer, state senate representative, mayor, city council. Yet the fruits of that giving haven't been sweet. I was wrong to think that Democrats would support school choice to help their constituents out of poverty, despite the fact that polling consistently shows a majority of minority parents want school choice. And he goes on to say, blah, 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 blah. I donated money to Trump's challengers and so on and so forth, but Joe Biden is bad and Donald Trump is the real school choice candidate, whether I give him money or not. That first part, you still don't understand what you did wrong. You still bought the flimflammery of Obama and Arne Duncan as some sort of reformer because he made overtures rhetorically to charter schools, which is not real competition and certainly not the transformative competition that we're talking about to really improve opportunities quickly and broadly. And yet it persists. And, for another honky like me, who's like a political operative, Prof's just, he's just a fire and brimstone right-winger and blah, blah, blah. And he's too critical of us and we don't have to pay attention to him at the Big Shoulders Fund. And you don't at Empower Illinois. And you don't have to listen to me. Whatever. Fine. But when it comes to like Cory Brooks or you and other leaders that are black conservatives, around the country and leaders on this issue of school choice, because I've often said, the conservative movement, it really needs to be led by black conservatives. It just does, particularly with respect to these dilettantes that want to be part of this, but still are tethered to misunderstandings of the political landscape. They just don't understand this very well, and they prove it again and again. So that's a long way around of saying, Jeff Yass, I want to hear a Charles Love or a Cory Brooks say, you know what, we appreciate that Jeff Yass is trying, but Jeff Yass and people like him need to listen up because you're not getting it. And when you make statements about your support, your meetings with Obama and your support for Arne Duncan, and you think he's reform-minded, and all this money you wasted on Democrats in Pennsylvania because you didn't understand who was in control and who was really motivating to them, you're doing it again. You did it again in Illinois. That's why we lost the tax credit scholarship program. And you're doing it around the country, which is retarding the growth of school choice. So you're unintentionally slowing down the progress we would otherwise be making with the popular support these programs enjoy.
Well, there's two quick important summaries of what you just said. One is that you talk about being led by black conservatives. Outside of a few alternatives, Cory's one of them, and some of the more, they follow around the bigger names. We heard of this person. It's for most organizations like mine and others, they're like, no, I'd rather give money to all these organizations that already have large amounts. I'd rather give money to PragerU, love Dennis, but it's like you're not doing anything different. So on the one standpoint, there's that. So the black conservatives don't get, the push that they need. You think that you say they should lead. They get ignored on the right, for one.
I know.
And two, you're right.
sorry to interrupt. That's a constant lament of Bob Woodson. So I'm glad you said that. And it's the thing like the Woodson Center, a school choice initiative led by Corey and you and others, like people that have real intellectual heft to separate from some of these dilettantes and frankly, you know, YouTube stars, and I say that derisively, that work for places like the Daily Wire or used to, and some of these other profile. They don't advance the flag, and but you know, some little honky like me, it doesn't go anywhere. It needs to like really be, I think, more aggressive
us,
from
though?
you guys. It needs to be more
Right,
aggressive.
like I'm doing this event in other cities. Why don't these people give us money so we can put them on?
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not getting a lot of money to do that, right?
No, I know.
But I'm making it happen.
I know. No, I know. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt, but your other point, in addition to where conservatives are spending money in the wrong places, which is a good one.
Yeah, really quick on that is that people just don't get both what the other side wants to do. Like you say, they fall for this stuff. Really quick, great example. I know you all know Misha Maynor in Atlanta, who ships parties. We had a summit in Phoenix, and she came. And the thing that blew me away, I asked her, so what do we not know behind closed doors, these conversations? She said, you just said most in the black community support school choice. The Democrats wanted to know if that was true. So the Democrats did a Democrat-only poll in Atlanta, and it came back in the 70, 80 percentile supporting. So what did they do? They said, well, we can't put out this poll, because it would be agreeing with the right. So they changed the questions in the poll to something like, do you support taking money from your local school?
Yeah, right.
So that it would seem like the people in the community were against school choice. So because they speak a certain way, it all ends up in politics. It's not about the children. And this Jeff guy you're talking about and others, they just don't get it. If we just, tell them and shake our finger at them, or put our arm around them and say, come on, I know you mean well, that they're going to change. They are not.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I think that's that's the thing that's so frustrating. It's sort of about Republicans and some conservatives generally, which is like, you can't even take a strident position, and I mean that in a positive way, not just being, iconoclastic, but you can't even be strident when you have 80%. The other side will start with 2% support and build over a generation into the low 30s and then the low 40s and so on and so forth. And they are as aggressive as all get out every step of the way. We have 80% of the people in our back pocket on this issue, and we're sheepish about it.
Yeah, we got a long way to go. So that's why I slowly moved away from the political approach and just say, I need to find a way in my small corner of the world to go directly to people and see what they have to say. Because you get a groundswell of regular parents who can speak up, then how do you ignore them, especially if they're black?
Yeah. So, so give us some preview of this Education Roundtable on April 16th at Project Hood, and what people can expect, why they should come, in addition to, of course, hearing your wisdom.
Well, like I said, the cold water. I'm going to have the conversation about education that must be had, that's not being had, and that talks about the real topic. So that's the other thing. You get debates. The people who are talking education are talking CRT and LGBT, all the letters. Well, I'm going to talk about grade inflation. I'm going to talk about the fact that the kids can't read. I'm going to talk about the fact, enlighten them on the fact that, one, you say it's us versus them, and the white schools are giving all the money and it's unfair. Well, one, the city's only 10 to 11% white students. There's only 28 of the 646 schools that have more than 50% white students. So the white kids are gone. So there is no us and them in public schools. Number two, they're failing too. So I pull some suburban schools that people, any school someone tells me, they say, this school is great. And they're shocked that there's like one school in the city that's over 80% proficient. Skinner, the best school, number one school, elementary school in the state of Illinois, is, I think, 75% proficient in math and 82% in reading. So it's affecting everyone. And I'm sure 10 years ago they were in the 90s or whatever. I'm just saying, we are failing every student. This should be the civil rights issue of our time, and it's not, because people don't know it. And that's what they're going to hear. They're going to hear about the real issues in education.
Good for you.
Charles Love, Executive Director of Seeking Educational Excellence, the author of Race Crazy, BLM 1619 and the Progressive Racism Movement. The book is Race Crazy. And the event is the Education Roundtable on April 16th at Project Hood, 6 to 8 p.m. Show up, support Project Hood, support Seeking Educational Excellence, buy Charles Love's book. Charles, thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Do all those things.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Do what he said. Yes.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The future of medicine is here at QC Kinetics. QC is the nation's leader in the most exciting revolution in pain management we've seen in decades. Regenerative medicine. If you're tired of achy joints, if your joint pain is keeping you from doing what you love, you need to call QC Kinetics today. Surgery, steroids, drugs,